This is how we're getting the owners of landscaping companies to be fully removed from the day-to-day operations within 4 to 8 months and fully removed from the entire business if they would like to within 1 to 2 years. So now you have an asset that is sellable for a lot of money. In this video, I'm going to cover what the Hardscape Growth Engine is and why so many of the top landscapers are starting to use this to take their business to the next level. We're talking high 6 to low to mid 7 figures, moving all the way up into those healthy 8-figure ranges, or at the very least just dominating their local area and moving into that top 1 or 2 position. Now, the Hardscape Growth Engine comprises of 2 main systems. You have our external systems, and then you have our internal systems. Now, the external systems refer to anything that the business is using to interact with leads, prospects, and clients, whereas the internal systems refer to everything internally. So it's more so for managing the team, finding self-disciplined, high-trust applicants that want to come work with you, and then ensuring that the entire company is using the human resources that are performing very well to grow even faster, grow even smoother. So those are the 2 main systems that we have. Within those 2 main systems, you can see that there are 7 total smaller systems. Let me zoom out so you can kind of see them. The traffic one is way over there, but we have basically the traffic system, the sales system, the job management system, the social proof system, the hiring system, the training system, and the management system. And I'm going to be covering all of this for 100% free. So you can use any of this that you want in your business, or you can just see what we're doing and why it's scaling people up so quickly. So the first thing, let's look at the traffic system. We're just going to go in chronological order. What the traffic system does is we want to identify and attract high quality prospects. We don't want people who are trying to pinch every penny they come across. We don't want people who are constantly looking for just the lowest price upfront. We don't want nightmare clients that are going to make you and your team's life miserable, right? So what we do is we set up this 5 sequence traffic system. So the first thing that we're doing is actually right here. This is going to be free organic. We're using a Facebook and Instagram content creator. And what we're doing is we're creating before and after content. We're taking drone footage or walkthrough footage of the projects we're doing to show that we are experts. And then we're also doing verbal walkthrough content where you're walking through the project at different stages, whether it's before, during, after, or just one of those stages. And we're explaining to the leads, the audience, why we're really good at what we're doing by basically showing them how we approach the project. So that positions us as really high status, above the fold kind of landscapers, pool installers, outdoor living companies, right? And then you can see the different ones here. So we do PPC campaigns focused on ultra high ticket jobs only. PPC campaigns refer to those Google campaigns that you see. A lot of people like Google campaigns because typically they convert a little bit better, but they are more expensive. So because they're more expensive, we want to focus your ultra high ticket jobs only. So anything where you're making ideally more than 50,000 on that job, all the way up to 300, 400,000 on a job. Then on Facebook, because Facebook is going to be a little bit cheaper, but the lead quality is going to be a little bit less, we're going to run a 3-2-2 ad campaign. So we're going to have 3 different audiences. We're going to have 2 different creatives, and then we're going to have 2 different hooks for each of those creatives. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to gather enough data from Facebook's pixel to identify who the ideal client is that actually enters our funnel and converts. And again, we're focusing those campaigns because with PPC, if you remember, if you know Google is when somebody's searching, but with Facebook, we're trying to put your content in front of people. So we actually only want to focus on people who are in high income or at least above average income neighborhoods. So that way, you know that the price question isn't so much there. It's more so of a value and timing. And that's exactly what we want. And then once we've actually entered these neighborhoods by landing a client, we actually want to send postcards to the client's neighbors. And we're basically telling them, hey, we just worked on your client's or your neighbor's property. It looks really nice. You know, if you know him pretty well, ask to check it out. And what we're trying to do there is we're trying to trigger FOMO and jealousy. Like, hey, your neighbor's house looks better than yours. Like, you should step it up. Or, hey, your neighbors are doing this. You know, if you want, we can come out and give you a quote too. And again, this is all about getting into high income neighborhoods and putting our brand in front of them. And then, of course, triggering that FOMO, right? That fear of missing out. And then we're also setting up, these are very slow campaigns, but we're also setting up SEO campaigns focused on using your USP. Your USP refers to your unique selling proposition. So what causes you to stand out? Why are you the best of the best? Why are you able to charge above margin rates or above market rates? And why are people paying those rates with no problem, right? And that's what your USP does. And we do that by again, SEO optimizing your website and creating, or at least changing your website into becoming what's known as a smart website. And so a smart website is basically a website that is connected to an entire backend system like the Hardscape Growth Engine. Now, as traffic is coming in and they're landing on your website, as you're seeing here, that's where they move into your sales system. So one of the reasons why we approach the traffic system like this is because if you have people who are reaching out to you saying, hey, we'll get you more leads, we'll get you more leads, we'll get you more leads, they are running templatized ad campaigns that have worked for other people. So they're just trying to get something really, really quick in front of you. And typically what happens is they might get you some leads, but they're not getting you jobs. Leads are only great if they're converting into jobs. So that's why this traffic system is only 1/7 of the entire system. This is not remotely the majority of our system. This is like a very small sliver. So as we're generating you high quality, high interest traffic, what we're then doing is we are moving them into a sales system. And so with the sales system, as they're filling out a form, whether it's on a landing page that your PPC is going to, whether it's on a Facebook lead form, whether it's going to your website and the form is just on your website versus a landing page, whether it's a QR code that sends to a specific landing page that you're putting on your postcards, whatever it is, once that new lead fills out the call to action, the CTA, what we then do is we are then collecting certain information and we're beginning what's known as the pre-qualification process. The pre-qualification is just figuring out, based on the information that you are filling out, are you a good candidate for working with us, right? And so we're asking certain questions. We're asking what their budget is, what kind of work they want done, where are they located, are you within our service area, what is your time frame to have this job done? And so what we're doing here is we are then able to prioritize different leads and we're adding them into your pipeline. And so by prioritizing those leads, for example, let's say you're getting 76 leads a month and you want to prioritize really high ticket ones, and then you can even subcontract out the lower ticket ones. Or let's say you only do certain jobs and a lot of people mistake you for doing other jobs and you can subcontract those out. Let's say you have a ton of jobs come in and you want to just pick the higher ticket ones, or maybe you want to structure it a certain way. So you have one team that does smaller jobs, one team that does bigger jobs. However you want to do it, we prioritize those leads and we put them into your pipeline accordingly. So we typically see businesses running one of two ways. Either they want to push leads directly to be assigned to an SDR. This is a sales development representative, whether they're within your company or outside of your company, who are then calling, a human actually calling and trying to get them qualified and book them. And when we do that, we set up automations that will continue to notify the lead that we're trying to get a hold of them, or continuously notify the human, the SDR, the sales representative, that they need to call and follow up and follow up and follow up incessantly until we get them on the phone, whether they're just saying, hey, I'm not interested, or whether they're saying, oh, I am interested, thank you for following up. And we see this all the time. Business owners are always like, oh, I don't want to follow up too much. If you know you're the best in the area, you are doing your people a disservice by not following up and even just getting a clear, firm no. Now, the other thing that we typically see is that business owners want the best of the best happening. So what we'll do sometimes is we will install an AI chatbot. So as soon as that lead fills out a lead form, boom, we are trying to qualify them and we're trying to book that first on-site estimate as fast as humanly possible. Either way, once we have them booked on site, we're able to move forward with the deal. But again, let's say that you identify that you're disqualifying this lead because they're just not a good fit. Maybe they're too low ticket. Maybe they're doing a job that you cannot handle or you just don't want to handle. We set this up all the time where, for example, we have a client in West Texas and they don't want to do pool coverings, but they're getting about 10 to 20 pool covering leads every single month. And so we take those leads and we actually send them over to a buddy that they have who does pool coverings, who then gives them a kickback. So that's easy money off of leads they're already paying to generate. But like I said, once the on-site estimate has been booked, what we then do is we set up very structured, proven processes to nurture that lead into ensuring a 100% attendance rate. So what does that mean? That means that as soon as they book that estimate, you have to actually show up to conduct that estimate. And when you show up, the lead has to be there to conduct that estimate, right? You can't sell to nobody, right? So we actually have sequences that show your project portfolio, let the customer know when you're on the way, all of these things that make sure that you are and they are attending at the same time. And if for whatever reason something is missed, we have automated rescheduling sequences to make sure that if it's missed, we want to find out as soon as possible that we need to reschedule. But if it is in fact missed, let's get you rescheduled as soon as possible. And what's cool with this is that our clients using our method, they have a 100% attendance rate for their sessions because we just don't have it any other way. Now, once they get on site, we want to make sure that all of the individuals on site are walking through the same exact process, because if we're using the same process, we can track that process, we can measure how effective it is, and then we can adapt it, which is going to move your conversion rates up. So we actually have an on-site questionnaire that is sent to the designer or the sales representative when they get on site that they read through, and a checklist they go through, and that has actually moved the customer's conversion rates, or the client's conversion rates of that customer, up to 50%. So if we're booking somebody on site, our clients are closing about 50% of who they're booking on site because the qualification is done right, the nurture sequence is done right, and the on-site questionnaire and script is proven to that point. Now, once they're getting a verbal agreement on site and they're indicating that via the on-site questionnaire that is texted to them, they can fill out this whole thing from their phone, it will actually notify the design team or the master plan team that they can go ahead and start putting together a quote and then sending it off to the customer. So now quotes are being sent out faster, and the team does not have to wait for a green light verbally. They're getting notified right away. Hey, go ahead and start putting together a quote. Here's all the details that we collected. Here's all the measurements we collected on site, all put into the system and sent over to you very, very quickly, with more reminders to the design team saying, hey, have you filled this out? Have you filled this out? If they're lagging, we notify management. Hey, management, looks like this person might be a little bit bogged down. Can you try to help them out, see what's going on? And what's really cool with this is that most companies are looking at one or two main metrics. They're looking at how many leads are we getting? How many leads are we converting? We're not. We're looking at, what's the quality of our lead? What's the lead source that we're getting from? Are we qualifying them? Are we booking them? Are they showing up? When you're showing up, what is your close rate? When you're closing them, how fast are we sending out proposals? When we send the proposal, are they ghosting the proposal? Are they rejecting the proposal? Are they accepting the proposal? So you can see just how serious we take this. And when we measure so many of these conversion metrics that you're going to see, we have even more, we're able to move the needle by increasing 90 conversion points by 0.1, 2%, which translates into hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month, not every single year. So for example, here, when the quote is sent, there's only three things that are going to happen. They're going to ghost you, they're going to reject it, or they're going to accept it. So if they're ghosted, we have automated follow-up sequences and reminders to the team to follow up within a 14 to 28 day window within reason. And we test all those numbers to make sure we're not bombarding or overwhelming people, but within reason to identify, why have we not moved forward? What can we do to move forward? What would it look like moving forward? How can we adapt maybe the iron triangle, right? Budget, scope, timeline, to make sure that we are working within your means to close you, right? If they're rejected, or once we find out why they have not moved forward, we have proven templated objection handling scripts that are built into the system that either do it for you or give you the scripts to call and do it yourself. Now, once it's accepted, we have automations that immediately will notify the right team, the payments team, to send a deposit invoice, and we begin the onboarding process automatically. We're creating a group chat to communicate with the client. We're setting up all of the necessary documentation to begin building the master plans. We're setting up everything we need to begin working right away. Again, we're able to condense both the sales and fulfillment cycle, which means you can fit more jobs in per month, which means your team is happier because they're getting the green light as soon as you want, and your customers experiencing a true white glove experience because you are moving very, very quickly, very, very professionally, and very, very consistently. And so the cool part with these automations is, and this is something that a lot of marketing guys mess up. A lot of marketing guys will tell you, oh, we're going to generate you leads. We're going to generate you leads. We're going to put jobs in front of you. All you got to do is close them. We're saying no. We're only 2 systems in. We've only covered the traffic system and the sales system, and we're saying we're going to generate you high quality leads. We're going to help you close those high quality leads through all the different conversion metrics that we're going to track. And as we close them, we're going to show you lead source attribution, showing you the best traffic sources so we can show you what ad spend, what traffic sources to actually focus on, and how much to spend on different campaigns in terms of prioritization, right? So there's no more guessing, is this marketing team doing well? Now you're knowing, okay, these leads that they generated, we're closing from these, we're not closing from these. Or this marketing agency is performing really poorly, whereas this one is performing really, really well. So we actually not only can do the lead generation for you, but we actually work very, very well with your marketing agencies to help you understand if they are generating you actual closed jobs. Now, once we actually get the verbal confirmation and the deposit paid, we want to move into the job management system. So as they're moving into the job management system, we're going through a sequence, and we're just going to use a very generic sequence. If you're thinking to yourself, well, Alec, I do it a little bit different way, that's perfectly fine. This is just showing you an idea of what could be done. Everything you're seeing here is adapted to your business. We don't sell a software. We don't tell you, hey, you got to fit yourself into one box. We basically download your brain, your process into the systems you see here, and then we build the systems around what you want and the software you and your team like. So once we get to the job management system, now we're creating and editing the master plans. Then we're sending it off to the designer review. If the designer rejects it, we're going back to editing so those two can work together. And again, we're condensing the fulfillment cycle because we're not waiting for them to verbally say, hey, are you done? No, I'm not done. We're saying, hey, when I do this, boom, it's going to automatically notify you, review it. When you review it, boom, it's either going to push it to present plans to team or go back and reject it. When we present plans to team, again, if it's good, we move on. If not, we reject it. We go back to editing. Once it moves on and the master plans have been marked as completed, then we're going to book the pre-construction walkthrough with the team and with the client. And again, this is all handled with automations. The minute that the big boss guy or whoever is handling all of the approvals for the master plan says this is done, boop, it immediately notifies the client, hey, we have our plans ready. We're ready to book your pre-construction walkthrough with our team and with you. Go ahead and pick a time, or it notifies the team, hey, you're ready. Reach out to them and pick a time. So you can pick. Do you want to share a calendar? Let them pick, or do you want to do it yourself? Now, once that pre-construction is booked, again, we want to ensure 100% attendance rate. This ensures that no time is wasted, no efforts are wasted, and there's a smooth experience for everybody involved. Not just the client, not just the customer, but your team as well. This is how you find and retain high quality workers because they're seeing that you're running things very, very professionally, very, very smoothly with as few headaches as possible. Now, on site for pre-construction, we actually send an internal pre-construction walkthrough survey to a member of the walkthrough team, and they're going to fill out all the information, make sure that there's no change orders needed, and we have automations to notify them, hey, go ahead and collect your before footage, and that way you can, at the end of the project, collect your after footage, and that content goes into Facebook, if you remember, in the traffic systems. And of course, like I said, we're tracking your change orders, and then we're beginning the staging process if nothing else is needed. Now, the active construction is typically managed by a third-party project management software. So a lot of our clients will use JobTread, for example. Some will use Aspire, but it's really whatever your team loves and uses. If your team does not have a third-party project management software, we can help you set that up, and we can find and source the best one for your team. Again, we're not limited to any one software because we're not a software company or a systems company. We want to systemize the process that's already gotten you to that high 6 to mid 7-figure level, right? So we're using those systems. We're connecting your systems to all the different software that you're using. So that way it's very seamless. You don't have to jump around from different platforms to try to figure out where somebody is. It's a very seamless, very user-friendly experience. To be quite frank with you, most landscapers are really good at consulting, designing, and building. They're not always the most tech-oriented. Whereas if you want me to mow your lawn, you're better off giving me a Red Bull and a pair of scissors. But we're nerds. We're system nerds. So we set it up to where it's very, very easy for your guys to use by just texting them, hey, here's what we need you to do. Here's a link to do it. Super, super simple. Now, once the project is completed, we're going to signal for internal review using those user-friendly internal surveys, and that will schedule your post-construction walkthrough. During the post-construction walkthrough, you're going to address or even identify just a punch list if necessary. And then if you have those insurance jobs or sometimes your finance jobs where the client has used financing to pay for it, then maybe we create some kind of a certificate of completion that we can then hand off to those third parties so they can approve payment. And that's where you are then either collecting final payment from the client or the financing/insurance partner. Now, once we do that, you can even upsell them into mentioning property or job maintenance packages for extra money and a better client experience. We see this all the time with your pool cleaners. We see this all the time with turf management. And this doesn't even have to be within your company. Again, you can partner with people nearby who are saying, hey, we're really good at pool cleaning. We're really good at turf maintenance and management. And you're saying, hey, we'll build it and then we'll hand them off to you. And then you pay us for that lead. And we see this all the time. You can do it however you want to do it, right? It's your business. We're just systemizing it so that way it doesn't rely on you and certain people to remember to do things. It does it the same way every time. Now, this is the cool part. Once we're done with the job management, or even as we're going through the full process, we have our social proof system. So once we have indicated the job is done, we're marking the job as complete, and we're actually going through a post-job client checklist. And this is where we're doing a complete walkthrough with the client, and the client is physically signing off. It's sent to the technician's phone. The client's physically signing off. The reason we do this is because if the client says, I'm happy, but they don't sign off, that's where it's like, okay, well, you're probably not happy, right? It's like, when you go to the barber, let's say they give you just a terrible haircut and you're like, oh, I'm happy. And then you go cry in your car, right? It's not one of those deals. You got to sign off. So if they sign off, we know they're happy. If they don't sign off, we're like, okay, let's fix it. We want to make sure that you're 100% happy before we leave this job site, right? And so that is a really, really good way that we're pushing the customer satisfaction level to 100% with all of our clients, because we're going through such a meticulous pre-construction and master plan and post-construction and then a post-job checklist. This is how we get to that 100% 5-star reviews, 100% customer satisfaction. And so if the client is unhappy, that's where we're creating the punch list. But if the client is happy, then we're indicating to either certain technicians, or even if you have an internal videography team or content team, to collect the after images, drone footage of the new job, and then a verbal demo of the project. That is a walkthrough where you're like, hey, remember before when you saw this, dirty, ground was torn up, like looking backyard. Now look how beautiful it is. Here, let me show you all the things we did, right? And of course, that's going to create more FOMO, more jealousy, more envy from neighbors in that high income area who are saying, hey, I want something like that, right? Or at the very least, now I trust you so that when I give you 6 figures to do a job in my backyard, I know it's done the right way, right? And then, of course, this leads to collecting reviews from only happy clients via an internal questionnaire. So this one is a very, very subtle yet really, really powerful tool. If you have a marketing team who is saying, oh, we're going to collect feedback, and then based on that feedback, we'll determine if we ask them for a review or not, you are violating FTC guidelines. And if somebody reports you, you will get in big, big trouble, a lot of money. What we do is we don't ask the client for feedback. We ask the technician, do you think this customer had a good experience? If the technician says, yes, we do, then we ask them for a 5-star review. If the technician says, no, we didn't, don't ask them for feedback. Don't send a review. Just say, hey, we had a good time working with you. And this is how we are FTC compliant with our review gating. Yes, we have FTC compliant review gating procedures built in place. Very, very few other companies say that. The only reason I say very few is because we actually created it. Nobody else had it. But we know some people have been hearing what we're doing and trying to replicate it. Now, after a few days, we actually want to split test how long to wait to determine when is the best time to ask for referrals and introductions. Sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it's 23 days, sometimes it's 41 days. Like, again, we're split testing based on you and your region. So we're not going to say, hey, this works over here in, Tampa Bay. It should work in Miami. No, we're going to say, hey, this is what works in Tampa Bay. Let's test it in Miami, but we want to find what works best in Miami versus Houston versus Dallas versus San Francisco, right? So we want to test all those different things to find out what is the best, most optimal time to ask for reviews, referrals, and introductions. Now, this is what we've just covered here, is the external system. What I love about this external system, before we even get into the internal system, is that, again, most agencies that you're going to work with, they're going to say, hey, we're only doing traffic and good luck if you close them. Or if you don't close them, that's on you. Or, hey, we generated you so much traffic and now you're overwhelmed, figure it out. And then you end up firing them and it just doesn't look great. For us, we're building actual systems where we can say, hey, your sales system, your job management system, and your social proof system are all active 24/7. We can turn on or off the traffic as much as you want. And because you have your sales system, you're not going to get overwhelmed. We're going to subcontract or even send those leads off. And we do that by prioritizing who we do and don't want to work with as those leads come in. And so this tells you exactly how much to spend. It gives you really nice projections, and we help you run the entire thing with you. So that way you truly have a system that helps the business grow, not run, grow without you. And if we look over here for the internal systems, this one is much, much simpler, but it's very, very powerful because we hear this all the time. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. Wrong. People want to work. They're looking for high quality jobs to work for. They're looking for great managers to work with. They just don't want to work with what you have put out there. They don't want to work with the systems that you have created. Well, guess what? You're really, really good at landscaping. We're really, really good at creating systems. So here's what we have. We have 3 internal systems. We have our hiring system, our training system, and our management system. Let's go through the hiring system. The hiring system ensures that we're creating job listings crafted to attract self-disciplined, reliable crew only. If they're not self-disciplined, if they're not self-motivated, if they are not responsible individuals, we want to reject them. Now, to attract these individuals, it does mean paying a little bit more. So I'm going to tell you that right now. But if we can pay to acquire and retain the best of the best talent, they're not going to leave. They're going to make your life way easier, and you're going to make a lot more money. Now, Once we attract them, we actually give you interview scripts to identify high trust, self-disciplined, skilled labor to make sure that once they've applied, you're actually vetting them the right way. And what's cool is we have automations for this whole thing. So whether you're using Indeed or you're having an internal job board that you're listing on your website, it doesn't matter. We have automations that set up and run the whole thing for you. So all you have to do, whether you are the hiring manager or whether you're doing like a dual purpose, like the training manager and the hiring manager, all you have to do is fill out a survey. Do you want to interview this person? Yes or no? Yes. No. That's simple. If you can't answer that question, good luck. Next question is, after you interview them, here's your script. How'd the interview go? You want to hire them? Do you want to waitlist them? Do you want to reject them? If you hire them, we automatically send out job letters that are offered when you select that applicant. If you want to reject them or waitlist them, we have automations that handle that as well. So again, all you're doing is filling out a survey, and it is sending out very professional letters and using the language that you and your team want to use. So we're not going to put a weird voice for you. We're going to say, hey, here's our templates. Let's adapt them to how you guys want to phrase this or speak. Now, once they're hired, we put them into the training system. So we have automated onboarding for new hires, and we have automated instructions sent out to the management team responsible for that. So it's saying, hey, you have a new applicant. Here's everything we need from them. Don't worry. The system is going to follow up until we get those things, right? The things you need for your I-9, maybe certain certifications if you're expecting that they're OSHA certified. If they're not OSHA certified, maybe things that you're putting them through. Anything that you need, we are automating that. We're asking them until we get it, or we're automating the notifications that go out to management to help them get it with them. And then we can take them through even compliance courses for new hires to follow. If you have compliance courses, I was an Army infantry veteran, so I remember every single year we had to do like safety briefings, and we had to do EO, and we had to do I think it was called SHARP, but we had to do like the sexual harassment courses. Like we had to do all these courses to remain compliant on the job because we were interacting with the general public within the United States and other countries. But if you have compliance courses, we can actually build courses around that to make sure they're going through it and notifying them, hey, you need to fill this out, you need to fill this out, and then telling your management team, hey, they have completed these courses. And then like a checklist of tasks needed. So it could be adding your bank account for direct deposit. It could be making sure you have your driver's license. Again, all the things you might need for your I-9. Maybe it's a urinalysis test. Anything you need. We're baking that into the training system so that way you're onboarding them properly, you're bringing them up to speed, and you can get that done as fast as humanly possible. So that way, once it's completed, you can begin your on-the-job training to acclimate the new hire to your company culture, to your company SOPs, and the way you want things done. And let's say you want to track, like when they're a rookie, like they're on the job training, you can track that window. Let's say it's a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and you can track when that's done and they've actually moved into just being acclimated as a normal team member. And then we're going into your management system. So with your full team, you want to manage your team very, very well. If you read the book Good to Great, if you read the book High Output Management, if you read the people who are just management freaks and they know how to run a really, really well-organized, well-run machine of a company, they are so big on keeping your finger on the pulse. And that's exactly what we do here. We actually treat your business like it's a Fortune 500 company, like it's a top 1,000 company in the nation. We're treating it like it is one of those organizations. So with your management systems, we're going to have scheduled reports going out daily, weekly, monthly. Daily, your pipeline sent to you. You know where everything is in your sales pipeline. Weekly, you are getting reports on where jobs are, so you know if things are moving at the right speed. We're also sending you video messages covering the whole thing every single week and showing you areas of opportunity, areas of improvement, areas of growth, so we can attack those metrics with you. You can see that right here. And then we also have monthly metrics. So monthly metrics might be how well the sales team is performing in general, or maybe some bigger picture things, or things that are not as important, like maybe your Google business profile metrics, right? And again, we can change the iteration of all these reports based on what you and your team want. So if you want everything daily, you're getting it. You want everything weekly? Sure. You want everything monthly? Okay, it's your call. We are going to take the business process that has gotten you to where you are, and we're going to systemize it, track it, and improve it with you. And a big thing we're going to do is with your team, we're going to structure 2 different type of team feedback sessions. Number 1, structured one-on-one templates. That way you can ensure that your team is staying motivated and trained at all times, and you are keeping your finger on the pulse, so that way they are giving you great ideas. Number 2, team feedback sessions. So they can tell you, hey boss, these are things that might work better. These are things we really don't like. These are things that the customers don't like that you keep trying to get us to do. And by having this combination of wanting your company to win and understanding that you don't have all the answers, your team might, the data might, that is what takes your company to the next level. Ask me how I know. We just dropped a video showing how we scaled a landscaping company from 6.5 million to 14.8 projected this year alone within a 3.5-month window. That company, once they turn on their traffic system, is going to do so much better. So this is the Hardscape Growth Engine. You can see every single step that you see within these different systems are conversion metrics that we are tracking and helping you move the needle. And if you look at the video we have on where we're scaling somebody up to 14.8 million, we're tracking those data metric points and we are finding simple fixes that are moving the needle in ridiculous ways. For example, we had a client who their team were using these on-site surveys, and we had the surveys at 5 pages with different questions. And they said, hey, can you just move all the questions to 1 page? When we did that, they were actually tracking their jobs and we were able to push another $200,000 through their pipeline. We had another client who, at this stage right here, they wanted to be involved with the lead assigning. So they wanted to assign their leads to different sales rep, but they were the boss. So they were busy with other things and leads weren't getting assigned. When we rerouted the leads through an office manager as opposed to the business owner, number one, we were able to show him, hey, your numbers are saying that you're the bottleneck, which he was like, oh, I didn't realize. Then we were able to give him suggestions, which we said, hey, let's route them through the office manager or have AI do it. He said, I don't really like AIs. Cool. Let's go through the office manager. When we did that, $610,000 in 31 days was pushed through the pipeline. And then we found over here with the verbal agreement, when we set up automated notifications, they're saying, hey, they actually want a quote, can you send it to them? We noticed that they were only sending out 89.8% of the proposals requested, of quotes requested. When we moved that number from 89.8% up to 100%, that was another $90,000 within a 31-day window. And we're not generating crazy lead counts. You don't need to when you have a construction team. You only need to close. You only need about 36 to 70 jobs a month if you have a big team that's going to push you over the 2 to 3 million mark per month very easily. So again, this is the Hardscape Growth Engine. If you have any questions about it, let me know, but this is what the top landscapers are using to adopt. It is a very highly structured system. Again, what we're doing is we're downloading your process that you use to get to where you are. We're systemizing it so we can track the data, and then we're finding areas of improvement and areas of growth. And then step 3, we're attacking those areas with you. And we're not just guessing. We're saying, hey, here's the data based on your process. We should do this, this, and this. How do you want to do it? You tell us, we do it. This is how we're getting the owners of landscaping companies to be fully removed from the day-to-day operations within 4 to 8 months and fully removed from the entire business if they would like to within 1 to 2 years. So now you have an asset that is sellable for a lot of money. How do we know this? Because we're tracking it. We're tracking the financials and we're able to report that to potential buyers. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Have a good one.